Live. I am so excited you're here. I was thinking before the show, one of my favorite things to do is to get people, my friends, and just cool people that I meet in my travels and wanderings or speaking gigs, and get to introduce them to you guys. And this guy, he'll always be tied to my heart because he was on my first cruise that I ever went on the Magic during COVID. He was on there, and I can't wait you guys to meet Jason. Make sure you ask him questions today because the stuff he is doing with video and his community and all sorts of stuff, he's amazing. So you guys are going to love him. I'm so glad that you guys are here. In fact, my friend, let's see here, Gary Stockton, sorry, Gary. He says, good morning, lovely lads from Huntington Beach. Gary, I hope you're doing well. I know you had a bunch of projects going, writing some music and all sorts of stuff, so I hope that's going well. Thanks for tuning in. We got the old Zach Brown here going, hello.
Hello.
You brought your fan club, Jason, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
I needed a safety net, my friend.
That's right. And Chris Stone says, Jeff wandering should be a thing. It's usually wandering close to food, Chris. That's where it usually happens. And then Carlos goes, buddies. Carlos, it has been too long, my friend.
Oh boy.
Oh, here we go. And I think this may be Lou because he always comes across as Facebook user.
That feels about right.
Yeah, he says, sup, Lou. Yeah, thanks, Lou, for clarifying. So this is going to be a fun show. I'm thinking his fan club. Yes, Mary. Jason is. He's just got so many people. He boosts my brand by just having him on here. So that's why I did it. So this is going to be a fun show. So any questions you have about video, any of Jason's process, make sure you guys ask it today because he's amazing. And I've been following for a while. He's a good friend. I've seen him. He's just amazing. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Jim goes, if it's video, it's got to be good. And Jason's video is very, very good, Jim. So I can't wait for you guys to introduce him. So I'm going to go ahead and hit go on the podcast machine, and we will get started. Jason, are you ready?
Sure.
try to sound a little more excited.
I'm so ready. I can't contain myself.
That's right. All right, here we go. Let me get started here. Get it all ready. All right. Hello, folks. You're making me laugh. You're making me laugh, dude.
I didn't even say anything.
Oh, man. So this is how the show is going to go today, folks. I know Carlos here, and Carlos goes, he's from Jeff's fan club. Didn't say anything about you, Jason, so I just want to let you know. All right, here we go. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not. And this is the show that keeps you up to date in the world of social media and much more. And I'm so excited today to have my friend. He's a truly special guest joining us. Someone who is at the forefront of video content creation, Jason Canapp, with an impressive portfolio of engaging video that have resonated with his audience across different networks. Jason's work is a masterclass in effective storytelling and visual innovation. And in our conversation today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Jason's creative process. We're going to discuss how he crafts his videos, not only to catch the eye, but also captivate the heart. From his gear selection to his workflow strategies, Jason's going to be sharing valuable insights that could help both aspiring creators and seasoned professionals. And if that wasn't enough, we're also going to dive into a topic that's becoming increasingly pivotal in our digital age, the role of artificial intelligence in the creative process. And I want to know Jason's thought on how AI influences and intersects with his work. And it promises to be a fascinating exploration of the future of video creation. So get your questions ready. Jason's my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I feel even more nervous after that introduction.
I haven't even introduced you.
Now.
I haven't even introduced you yet. So if you guys don't know Jason, let me introduce you.
Glad you set aside 3 hours for this.
I know, exactly. So he is the founder and visionary behind Here with the Magic. It's a multi-channel platform that provides an immersive and calming experience set primarily in the world's most beloved theme parks. He leverages his eclectic background. He's a self-taught creator and has channeled his lifelong passions into creating content that aims to bring joy, comfort, and connection to audiences across the globe. Together with his dedicated team, he has cultivated a devoted community of viewers, listeners, and supporters who regard Here with the Magic as their personal escape from everyday stress. So, Jason, once again, there you go. That's your introduction. You brought your community with you. This is amazing.
Well, thanks, and thanks for having me here. And I'm excited to talk about it. I'm glad that the community's here because they are such an important part of the creative process. And we, the things that I do, the things that we do, we wouldn't do without the
Right.
community either,
Yeah.
right? So that's critically important.
And so, Jason, before we get started too, you have a podcast as well. And if people want to find that, how can they find that?
You guys search for Soundscapes by Here with the Magic wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, it's
Apple,
amazing as well.
Spotify, yada yada.
So,
Oh, thanks.
yeah. So Kelly, Disney Channel goes, is this live? Yes, it is live. We are live right now. And then, of course, our friend Lou, speaking of community, switching to YouTube so he can harass you under his own name. You should know better to do that, Lou. You were a lawyer, but we'll let that go. But I want to do a big shout out really quick to our sponsor, Ecamm. They're the ones who make this show possible. You can find out more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. But one of the cool things that is coming up is their creator camp that's going to be in October 11th through 13th. So it's going to be hands-on workshop. It's going to be epic parties like a Salem ghost walk, a pub crawl, wine tastings, everything that I love will be there. We're going to have collaborative learning. It's going to be tons of fun. So you want to join the Ecamm fam for their first ever creator camp. Like I said, it's an event like no other. It's completely focused on helping you succeed in live streaming, podcasting, and video production, and so much more. It's coming to Amesbury, Massachusetts on October 11th through 13th, 2023. You're not going to want to miss it. You can find out more at ecamm.tv/creator camp. That's ecamm.tv/creator camp. And once again, appreciate them for sponsoring the show. All right.
You had me at Salem Ghost Walk.
Doesn't that sound cool? I mean,
I love spooky things.
And you are an Ecamm user, so you need to be there. You need to be there. I'm a camp counselor, by the way, so you know.
You mean generally or at this event?
No, I'm what I do with my side hustle. No, I just for this event. Just for this event.
So, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, you're not surprised. All right, let's dive into it. So we're going to be talking about how to craft engaging videos because that's what Jason does. So first of all, in this first section, can you kind of tell us, Jason, what you consider an engaging video from your perspective? Like, what elements should it have with it?
I think engaging for us is a video that connects with the viewers emotionally. It's ideally as immersive as it can be, and fundamentally has to bring them joy in the experience. That is the overriding goal, is to provide this escape and provide this moment of joy for them when they can't be in their happy places. And I think I know we're going to probably talk about this more. The Choose Your Own Adventure series that
it's really cool.
Just rolled out on YouTube. That is, I think that is a good example of us pushing the envelope of our current capabilities in this regard. It is it's interesting for us because it's all about getting out of the way, right? So whereas a lot of videos are about generating that engagement at a like having them respond to things or call to actions and that sort of stuff. Ours is really a much more passive experience. So it's a little, non-traditional in the YouTube universe. And the Choose Your Own Adventure series was really the first foray into an interactive element. We'd been doing virtual reality style videos for some time. Actually, in the first year, nearly all the videos produced were in a virtual reality format of some sort, but also formatted for traditional viewing. But this Choose Your Own Adventure series was really the first time we created a series of videos in a way that allowed viewers to truly interact with that viewing experience, or not. They don't have to either.
Well, so I want to get into that because we had some great people showing up on YouTube. So Carlos says he moved here just to give Lou a hard time. So thank you, Carlos, for doing that. And Ben says we all want that Disney fix. A lot of times we can't, get to the park. So, Here with the Magic gives us access wherever we are. And that's one of the things. So I want to make clear, this was like you going, your whole thing is Disney. Like that's kind of your biggest channel. I mean, not the whole thing. I mean,
well,
you've gone outside of the berm a little bit.
I have been working for 16 years. No, we've been trying to steer the ship in the direction of broadening that context, because again, yes, Disney is the heart and soul of everything we do. But there's also this world out there, and there are these places and these spaces that actually inspired the experiences, the attractions, the resorts that we love in their Disney spaces. And we wanted to bring attention to those places as well as places that just simply resonate with that spirit of Disney, because most of us can't be in a Disney space all the time. None of us really can be there all the time. So when we're home, whether it's in Texas or Huntington Beach, California, or Baltimore, Maryland, or let's provide people ways not only to connect virtually with their happy place, but also to to inspire them to look around their neighborhood, their town, their backyard even, and also find those moments there that can be enjoyed, and that do have a connection in some way to the Disney spaces that they love so much.
So when you first started, I mean, you started making videos, and you are also self-taught. I mean, this is all stuff that it was a hobby.
Yeah, it shows. I know.
No, it doesn't. You create some awesome video, my friend. And then did the community kind of, because I want to, and this is kind of off the topic, but did the community come up around that, and then you started making videos for the community? I mean, and now they kind of direct where you're going. How did that kind of happen?
There's this guy. His name rhymes with flu or something like that. Who in the midst of the COVID lockdown, when the parks were closed and we were freaking out, and I had probably about 75, 80 videos under my belt at that point that were out there. He said, "Yeah, like, why don't you do a live show?" And I think I responded, "Are you nuts?" And he responded, "Well, of course, but that's besides the point." Right. And he said, "Let's just do a live show every day, at lunchtime, and just watch your videos." And I said, "Okay, so you want me to, in real time, watch a video that I've created live?" Right. And you think other people are going to then watch me watching a video? And he's, yes. And they showed up. People showed up because they were so looking for connection, not just to their happy place, but to people like them, the community around Disney. That's that generally, at least in my experience, has been so positive. And it grew from that in terms of the community building, and then the community being part of that process in terms of inspiring the next thing to be filmed. Where do we go next? And then it just evolved from there. Honestly, yeah, it was a kind of organic process.
That's really cool.
And I have to point out, like, I have, I know we're going to talk about AI a little bit later. I do want to also make a note that I have probably one of the most advanced forms of AI that I work with every day, and the videos wouldn't even be possible without this. And that is the NGZB Model 30, which most people might know as the nice guy Zach Brown, who is kind of the secret weapon behind the vast amounts of things that we produce now, and who is another relatively self-taught person. And it's so funny because when it comes to editing, and we'll talk about that, I know there's so many ways to skin the cat, to get to the kind of same endpoint in terms of what the video looks like and how it feels. And we go about it in different ways. We have a very different workflow, which kind of reflects that we learned differently. Right. And so that's kind of fun too, when we get together and start doing things. And sometimes I undo the stuff that he's done and then I regret it.
Well, I think it's important to kind of see where you came from, kind of your origin story. In fact, Flu, or who I like to call it, Lucifer, I said, "Stop, please turn off the camera. How do you turn that to go live for that? I have no idea." Yes. So our friends are so great for our mental health. It's
good. Yeah. So it's such a ego build. It really is. Yeah.
So I want to talk about like your process. So let's put aside your new choose your own adventure style videos, because that's really advanced. I do want to get in that, but Can you walk us through your process of like creating videos from like concept to completion? Do you ask your community and say, "Hey, where do you want me to go in the parks?" and I'll do that, or how do you come up with what your process of creating this video?
So back in the day when it was just me, it was really all about capturing the moments in the spaces that I really enjoy, right? Like it's just fundamental. It was just a very selfish orientation at that point. Like, what do I like? And that's what I'm going to film. And then that evolved into listening to input from the community, from other viewers, and then now it usually starts as sort of like a brainstorm session between Zach and me. We also get we regularly get ideas from community members. Often it will be the ideas are driven by opportunity. So if one of us is traveling somewhere, we'll film while we're there. If someone in the community sends us a video, sometimes we have this as part of the show that I do. We have this community contribution. So sometimes we'll give videos from community members themselves. Sometimes there's offers to film somewhere. Sometimes we'll travel for the opportunity to video. And sometimes we take the idea to the extreme, like when we decided to do a Christmas series, which we called the 12 Days of Christmas, at great expense, both physically and financially. That was kind of built on the whole world. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Right.
I don't know if any.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, the video game, and then there was a television show, and so that was built around this daily live show concept. But we used that, the sort of traveling around, because we were in different places every day, as opportunities to film in those places as well. So there's a lot of different, the process related to coming up with the ideas for the videos is as diverse as the subject matter, and I think the context is really the key part of it. So the videos that we create have evolved and grown over the past 4 years. Started the first year was really focused, as I said, was focused on virtual reality formatted, but we made sure that it could be watched on any device, a computer, television, just in traditional format, because being accessible to anyone is like this really important core value that's been with us since the beginning. And then there's been a lot of experimentation. We also look for opportunities to to multi-purpose. Not just in terms of like, oh, hey, we're going to video this, and can we use this for we'll use it on the show, and we use it as a long form video, as we refer to as a long form, what we put on YouTube, and we'll use it as, maybe we can create a reel off of it for Instagram, which I still don't understand why I'm even doing anything on Instagram. Carlos is shouting his television now. But also like for soundscapes, and soundscapes was really created because we had all this binaural, 3D sound that was included in the videos that were being produced. And I had talked for a long time about wanting to use that and maybe doing a podcast. And finally we just bit the bullet and did it. And that's a really rewarding experience and way to repurpose that content as well. Because there's people who listen to the podcast. I mean, and our friend Lou knows this better than anybody. There's people who listen to the podcast who don't engage in any other way with the platform. Not on YouTube, not in the live shows, not on Facebook, but they devour the podcast episodes. So it's kind of cool that, you can get to different audiences who kind of value the same thing, but in a different medium.
Yeah. I think, and you're a big sound guy. Your little thing you used to do with Carlos, where like you play a sound and have people try to figure it out. That was just cruel, and that was cruel and unusual punishment. I mean, that was just like only you, and you would giggle like you're doing now, and no one would get it, and you're like, and I mean,
then you remember watching. I know you're ancient like me, so you remember watching. I remember like the television being set up during dinner, and when I was a kid, and we would watch Name That Tune.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
you would give like
Yeah.
3 seconds of like a tram, and I'd be like, who knows that? And then people would.
People know.
I know, it's just
People
anyway.
know. I'm not even good at it.
I love your idea though of repurposing the audio, because your audio is stellar and stunning, and using that, I mean, that is
We
really
can talk
good.
about some of the gear later too.
So I want to because I want to pick your brain, and like if somebody was coming and they're just getting started to video, what would you tell them, or even tell your younger self, some strategies to tell a compelling story with video? Because so much of it, everybody can turn on their phone and like, film a concert or whatever, but telling a story with video, that is a skill and an art. So what would you tell somebody who's just getting started how to use storytelling in their video?
That's a great question. I think it goes back to the context of the situation first. Like, what are you really trying to achieve? And I think fundamentally, what everyone should be trying to achieve is to connect with an individual and to create an emotional response to something, right? So you kind of have to know, why are people showing up to begin with, and what is it that we talk about the avatars in marketing and that sort of thing. Like, what is that person going for? What are they looking for? And that is, that's the starting point. For us, it's not as much about telling a story in a traditional way as it is about having this deep respect for the authenticity of the moment that we're capturing. And I think that, in terms of Here with the Magic, that underscores the distinctive ethos of what we do, like being a conduit for these experiences rather than dictating them, in terms of a traditional story route. But we do storyboard. We do follow that process in to a certain extent, especially for like the segment type videos that we do that are a little more complex, where we're bringing in, we are working up shot lists. We are bringing in resources from documents and other videos and so forth that we're learning from and getting ideas from. But we're also trying to just be in the moment. And we're in these incredible spaces. And, these spaces themselves were created to tell a specific story. Right. So we just need to get out of the way and allow that moment to be experienced authentically and without any kind of agenda. Because like I said, our fundamental desire is to create a genuine connection between those moments and our viewers. And I think that's the thing that's also at the core of any good storytelling exercise, right? Is okay, what's that emotional experience you're looking for a viewer to have? Begin with that and outline it, write it out, storyboard it to a certain extent. I've used AI tools for storyboarding, and I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
It's not always sexy, but it's right. It is effective in terms of brainstorming, and put yourself in the viewer's shoes. Like, what is it that you want them to be experiencing? And the medium is important too. Telling a story or providing an experience in a traditional format, video format, is very different than doing so in a 360 virtual reality format, where you can't hide behind that camera.
Right.
Yeah, you can't. You either need to accept that you are now part of the story, or you have to get out of the way somehow. And with again, with the AI tools that are coming out, I think it's easier to erase us from those things moving forward than it has been in the past. But I think that's the key, is to, for me, it was about, what do I love? Mm-hmm. So what's the experience that I want to have? For someone else, it may be, who's my ideal customer? Who am I really selling to? Who am I trying to attract? Who am I trying to connect with? And what do I want them to feel? Yeah. What's their backstory? Where are they coming from? What are the things that they're struggling with? What are the things that are bugging them? What are the things that they're aspiring to? And what is this video's role in that process? Whether it's a sales process, or whether it's an instructional process, or whether it's an entertainment process where they're providing escape. I think it's the fundamentals of that are still the same. As long as you begin with that, you know,
Right.
know thyself or know thy customer.
So I think that, and we have a lot of people who were chiming in saying, and Mary says, and you need to slow down and see the details, so many details. And that's what, I think a lot of people watch your videos for, because they love to see that. They love that you don't rush through things. And you kind of point out, especially if you're doing a live and you're doing your walkthroughs, you would be like, okay, and I loved it how you'd go, okay, where do you want me to go? Should we go this way or this way? And, you'd interact with the audience. And Ben even says, pause and let the magic come to you, which I think you do a really great job with in your videos. So one of the things before we move on to the next section, I want to talk about, because we kind of did your general videos and storytelling with those videos, but you've got this really cool new thing. And everyone's talking about your 12 Days of Christmas was amazing. So I think you're going to do that again. You're just going to have you're going to have to just suck it up, Buttercup,
and
go for
Zach.
it. Yeah.
I don't know that we can do it again.
So, but they were talking about your new Choose the Own Adventures. Like, these are amazing. So talk about what those are. And you wouldn't tell me before the show, but like, is this something you invented, or did you see some, famous YouTuber and you're like, I'm going to use it for my stuff? I mean, it's really, really cool. You guys have to go to his YouTube channel and try it out, because it is so much fun. I think it's very, very novel, but of course I'm an old man, but, and so how did you come up with this, and what's your process for it?
Oh, okay. So, how long do we have? The idea for it, it's I don't know, it's not really embarrassing, but I was watching these videos on YouTube with my son Henry. This is about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago now, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll send it to you so you can put it in the notes. There's this guy who put together this series of Choose Your Own Adventure videos that were highly produced, amazing, just really wonderfully done, and there's these incredible stories where he would act out the stuff that was happening, and things like special effects and all this stuff, and it was just like the books that we used to read when we were kids, the Choose Your Own Adventure books, right? But it was like in these videos, and then you get to a spot, and then he would say, okay, do we go down into the cave, or do we, I don't know, jump into the river or whatever, and a cave, river, and the cards are up on the screen, and like, oh, this is so cool. And then we select one, and then you go down that path. But we spent like his entire spring break going down every path, and he eventually, because this is how we geek out. Like, he mapped it all out. I forget how many different avenues there were, but it was crazy. And when it was all finished, I said, wouldn't it be cool if we had something like that, like in the Magic Kingdom, where you go in and then choose which way to go and so forth. And then, of course, I had this conversation with Zach, and because people just let me say things sometimes, and then we run with them before we really think about it, we started filming for it. And God bless Zach, because he filmed the overwhelming majority of the stuff in terms of the walkarounds. I filmed a teeny bit of attraction video with him, but he was just in the park, and I would send him back like, we didn't get this area, we didn't get this. So we created this thing, and I kid you not, I never got on YouTube and searched to see if anybody else had done it. Never happened, because I didn't. Well, one, I don't think I thought about it, and then two, I didn't. And once I did think about it, I didn't want to know, and I didn't want to see how anybody else was doing it, because I had this concept in my head of how it was going to happen. Now, we get it all done. We pushed it out. We actually wanted to roll it out last September, which was nuts, or October rather, which was insane, because there's just no way we could have gotten it done by then, given all the other things we were doing with the new show and everything else. So then I said, well, maybe it'll be like Christmas. We'll do it at Christmas. What a great Christmas present. Well, we'll get to December. I'm like, you know what? There's no way we're going to get this done, because we didn't have all the filming done. And once Disney turns Christmas on,
oh yeah, it changes.
Well,
yeah.
Everything changes. Yes, exactly. So like, well, we're going to have to wait. And then as soon as Christmas stuff came down, we were like back at it. And then I said, I know what we're going to do. We're going to release it on my birthday. Because for me, this is something that I would have so loved to have as a kid.
Oh yeah.
That like, this will be my gift, to sort of put this out there. Now, how I was going to do it turned out to not be how we ended up doing it. It ended up being much more complicated than originally anticipated, because of all the choose your own adventure video series that are out there, and you can find them if you do a search in YouTube, all of them you work with the same methodology, where when you get to a point where you're making a choice, they'll have a card up here and they'll have a card up here, maybe more than two.
Mm-hmm.
And those are links to other videos. If you don't choose one of those videos, you get dumped out of the experience. Because the way, for those who know YouTube videos and who have put these cards together at the end of their videos, right, the promotional cards and so forth, the way these work is that you can only do it in the last 20 seconds of a video. Right. And to do that, the video has to be at least 40 seconds long, generally, to get that 20 seconds. So once that's over, if somebody doesn't click on it, YouTube either dumps you out and everything stops, or you just move on to some random video that YouTube offers up, depending on your settings. Okay. I didn't want that experience. I didn't want people to have that experience. I wanted people to be able to interact with it or not interact with it. If you want to just let it go, have it going in the background, you can do that. So to achieve that, I had to use playlists.
Yes. That was what I think was genius.
So each choice is actually the head of a brand new playlist. And so if you say you choose one avenue, but then you don't choose another, so maybe you walk away, maybe you go and grab a Buble or something, right? Not sponsored. And you come back and you're like, oh no, like, where are we now? Well, you're somewhere new, because when you made that choice, even when you started watching the videos to begin with, you were already in the midst of a playlist that's going to continue. It's just a little like deep cut here. If you get on the train, for example.
That's what I did. I did that.
If you get on the train, and when you get to the end of you come all the way back to Main Street or wherever you got on to begin with, if you say ride again, you can basically ride that. You're going to be on that train for hours if you do nothing.
Right.
Hours. I don't know how many hours, but it's a long time, because that's how I did it. And so there's these really, for me, that was this critically important features that people could just get in and not have to interact all the time, not have to make a choice all the time, that it would continue them on some path.
So my question is, so you don't know how many hours this is, or how many choices do you have? Do you know the
I have not put the math into ChatGPT or anything. I mean, I have there are roughly 83-ish videos, individual videos.
Okay.
There are about 113, I believe, 111, 113 playlists, individual playlists.
Yeah. I thought that was genius.
That overlap with each other, right? So when you come off an attraction, for example, when you get to the end of an attraction, let's say you're on Peter Pan, and you get to the end of that, you can choose to either go ride again. You can choose to go across to Small World. You just like teleport there. You can choose to go towards the carousel in Fantasyland, or you can choose to go towards Haunted Mansion. Once you've made that choice, now you are in a new playlist, right? And so you are now on that path. And if you were if you're upstream further, like somebody who was actually starting at the carousel and decided to bypass Peter Pan, they're now on a very similar path. But because the way the playlists were created, it may or may not be the same. It definitely is not the same playlist as the person who came up with Peter Pan. That's a different playlist. And it also may or may not take them in the same direction. So that's kind of the fun part too.
The question so did you repurpose some of your videos you shot before, or is this all new specifically for this?
It's actually all new specifically for this, and we repurposed this without people knowing. So one of the segments we created for the Here with the Magic show that started last September was called the main attraction. The main attraction was about, kind of having these point of view experiences on an attraction, which is something I never did before, because it's not really the shtick of Here with the Magic, right? But it is something that we know people want to experience. And we wanted to do it in a way that was better, frankly, than anybody else was doing it, which is not like, so when you're riding Peter Pan or Jungle Cruise or like those kinds of attractions, you're experiencing that in a way that's not just this sort of, kind of standard fixed camera POV. There is this kind of theatrical element to it as well, to draw your attention to some of the details, but also to give you that sort of wide perspective. So we did that. We used those individual videos as segments throughout the year, throughout the season, the first season of the Here with Magic show. And people had no idea that we were using it for this purpose later.
So everybody who's listening to this, if you're any sort of Disney fan, or people who are Disney fan, you need to send them the link to this, because this is very, very cool. I got on the train 2 days ago and haven't gotten off. I mean, no, but I was. It was so cool because you can get off at different stations and you can. It directs you at different things. It'd be great to sit down in your living room with your kids, or even if you've never been to Disney before and you want to kind of give them a preview and sit down and plan your route. I mean, there's so many things you can do with this. It is so innovative. You need to share this with your friends.
I think that this concept can be applied to businesses as well. I was thinking about this in the veterinary space, which is kind of my other universe, right? This is, if you want to give a tour of a hospital, for example, you don't necessarily have to have, sophisticated 360 cameras and systems. I know like there's like real estate oriented systems and so forth that provide those kind of like walk arounds, but they're also there's not like stuff happening. Mm-hmm. Usually like still sort of experiences. But you could do something like this where you say, hey, like, would you like to see the hospital through the patient's eyes or something like that, or through the staff member's eyes, like, and be able to walk them through, allow them to walk through and turn around and go into different, see the OR, see the treatment area, see the, the exam rooms and so forth. There's so many different ways to use this technology that YouTube provides free.
I think you need to contract with like some of the big resorts and just do the different, because there's so much happens. It's like, Wilderness Lodge. You could do a whole walkthrough with that and choose different ways to go. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, Disney's weird though.
But anyway, you could do that if a hotel chain or a large house or something realtor. So
you could.
I want to go ahead and start moving on, because we could talk about this forever, because this, I mean, really, you guys got to check it out because it really is innovative and very, very cool. But Poggeek says this POV experience you've created is stunning. Love the choose your own adventure, but also how great the video quality is. I watch your videos and burn Lisa's candles, and I'm almost home. So Lisa, Castle Runner, we've had her on before, and we're going to hopefully have her on soon again. But she makes candles that are amazing. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about your video gear and workflows, because I know so many people are wanting to know how you do it, what you use, the cameras, all that stuff. So let's talk about gear. So
Casey Neistat.
Yeah, so that's what you do. Exactly the same thing.
Well, no, I just remember him saying this. He had this one thing he said once. It was, the best camera to use is the one that you have.
Right.
In that moment. Right. And so for us, nearly, with the exception of when we are either doing, like, deliberately doing virtual reality type of videos, or if we're doing, we're filming something in a way that we want to be able to utilize the technology that's offered by 360 cameras, and we can talk about why you would do that. We're using iPhones. It's embarrassing. I mean, no, I get a lot of. I get a lot of heat. I get it from Carlos and Colin. You remember Puddles?
Yeah.
Because I like right now I'm using a Sony Alpha 6400 with a Sigma lens. It never leaves the studio. Leaves the studio. Why? Because I just don't feel like carrying it around.
Right.
The iPhone, though, especially the iPhone 13, the iPhone 14, even the 12s, like the Pro lenses on there, the sensors on there, they're amazing. And if you film everything in 4K, which we do, and you film at like 30 frames per second, which we do, you can go 24 if you want to be more cinematic. You can go to 60 if you want to have that sort of more like real world feel. That feels almost like a little uncanny valley to me. It's incredible, and it fits in your pocket, and it backs up as long as you have it turned on. You subscribe to enough
Right.
cloud space. It backs up in real time. So, if we're on the cruise and we're filming and it's been backing up, if I lose it, God forbid, because I do have it's a naked phone. I don't put.
Oh, you can live dangerously.
Yeah. There's actually a reason for that, which we'll talk when we talk about the gimbals. But it's if you lose it, it's already backed up. I just love using the iPhone for that reason. You can use a Pixel too. I hear they're great. I don't know how to use anything that's Android, but
right.
I've seen amazing things from them.
So on this, let's talk about, okay, so iPhone. Let's say, I mean, this is great because when people see your footage, you're like, oh my gosh, it was shot with an iPhone. Seriously, it is really, really good. Do you use specific like software like Filmic Pro, or what do you use? Do you use the native stuff in there?
I use iPhone. I've used Filmic Pro in the past. I've used the DJI stuff. I just keep it simple.
So do you lock the exposure? I mean, what is your process when
sometimes you can lock the exposure. Sometimes, depending on what's happening there, but there's also so many things that you can do in post to change that, to update that as well.
Do you shoot RAW? Do you change your settings there?
Don't shoot. No, I've experimented with RAW, but it's the file size is so ginormous that it would crush our workflow. And we use, I know we'll talk about software in a second. We use Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro for the video editing, or for on the fly type stuff. We'll sometimes use Adobe Rush for that sort of thing. But it's, you can do a lot in post to color grade if needed, to reduce, highlights or enhance highlights and things like that. But honestly, the iPhone technology handles normal situations so well, including low light now, that you don't have to do much. Again, it's all just about like, get out of the way. Don't ruin it.
So I do the same thing. I have, for like all my product videos and my carving stuff that I do, I just have an iPhone over my head pointing down because it's so light, and it just works with Ecamm, and it's just amazing. So
isn't it great? And then okay, so then there's the Insta360 one. So I love the Insta360 One RS. It's a little bulky-ish looking compared to like the Insta360 One X2 or some of the other Insta360 products. But the RS, the lens, like the quality of the picture is just a little sharper. And even its audio capture, while not good enough for soundscapes purposes, is pretty good. But we also use Insta360 One X2. We have been known to use multiple 360 cameras at the same time. There's actually some videos we haven't even released yet that were filmed in this way, which with the intent of not even providing a 360 experience, but actually a traditional experience. Because with a 360 camera of sufficient, resolution, you have infinite angles to work with.
You have options,
So you don't have to think about, oh, that thing that's over there, I wasn't pointing to over there. I was actually pointing. You're pointing everywhere.
Yeah.
So in post-production, you go back and you can actually say, okay, I'm going to take this frame and I'm going to just use this one frame. It's not, the quality still isn't quite as good as if you just use like a traditional camera, the iPhone, like a really good iPhone lens to begin with. But it's pretty darn good. And I also, I experimented. Remember the Insta360 Go? I don't even know if they still make it. I have it sitting in my like graveyard of devices, but I just could never find a good use case for it. But I kind of love the idea of like having this tiny little thumb size camera that you could do things with. The Insta360 Evo, which I still will use every once in a while, is my favorite. So 3D 180 video is I think the best virtual reality experience in terms of passive video, because you get the biscopic or whatever they call the 3D 3D element, so it's kind of like looking through a ViewMaster but in video. And 180, like we experienced the world basically in a little bit more than 180, but essentially 180, right? In fact, our focal point is just so narrow, we don't really even experience what we truly can experience in videos, right? So 180 is kind of all you need, and it provides a better experience. The problem is that Insta stopped making it, stopped supporting it even, and the quality of it just isn't quite where it needs to be for me. And the next step up in terms of getting that level of technology would be to go to the pro level, and you're talking about $5,000 cameras and up, right? And the portability goes down. So again, like that, the main gear is the iPhones and the Insta360 One X2 and the Insta360 One RS.
So
those are sort of the go-tos.
Because especially your content is so relying on audio, because it's a big piece of the pie that you do not compromise on. What do you use? What is your setup for that and your mics that you like? Do you have a plugin that you use for your iPhone? What do you use for your podcast and stuff?
I have tried so many things. Okay. Here's the problem. I researched this a lot back in 2019. I went with what seemed to have the best reviews, and that was the Scenes lifelike VR recording earphone. So there's you put it in your ears. The microphone is in your ears, and so you get that spatial sound sort of just automatically. That's the binaural recording. And it plugs into the iPhone. It records directly to the iPhone. It's lovely. I don't think they make it anymore. You can't find it. When I finally did find some on eBay, I bought as many as I could, and gotcha. and so I have those like stashed. I think I have like one left that no one uses. I don't even think until just now. Zach doesn't even know exists, right? Because I'm just so afraid that it's never going to come into existence again. We have tried, and I think we still use the Sennheiser Ambio smart headset, which is similar to the Scenes lifelike. That actually does a nice job. Also, I've worked with the Zoom H3 VR 360 audio recorder. That is nice for if you're doing 360 videos. You can use a shoe and mount it either under or next to the 360 device, and you get a really nice 360 wave form file to use, where it's, if somebody turns their head in 360, the sound turns with them. That's a really nice feature. I actually, like, my secret weapon lately has been using a Tascam DR07X stereo handheld audio recorder, in combination with a Roland CS10EM. I'll send you all this stuff so you can put it in.
Yeah.
A Roland CS10EM binaural earphones and mic. The thing is about the Roland, I had to go to Amazon UK to purchase it.
I've had to do that before. Yeah.
Because it's just not available here, which is insane, right? But so I've done that, and that combination with the Tascam is really amazing, especially for outside ambient sound recording. Inside, I have not been able to dial in the sort of levels just well enough to make it better than the Sennheiser. So we'll use the Sennheiser. Sorry, the Sennheiser Ambio. I don't know. We grab these things and we go. These things to go. That's the audio setup.
That's my question. So, do you get frisk every time you go into Disney? I mean, it sounds like you're going to be having.
I'm glad you asked this.
Because do you just? What I want to know is, do you have a setup with all this stuff that you go in the park, or just sometimes you just take your phone and I put it on a gimbal and that's it, or do you have a standard setup you go with?
Sometimes it's the gimbal. It's just the gimbal. I mean, most of the time, it's the gimbal, and at the very least, it's the phone, the gimbal, and what
gimbal, by the way?
Recording earbuds. The one that I've been using now for a couple of years is the DJI OM4. I think we have one of them is an SE and one of them is just the 4. They're great. Not the selfie stick one thing, because that actually I think is a little less stable. I don't love that. But I love the DJI OM. The best part of it, two things. One, the magnet thing that detaches, and so you can use it, so you can shut it down and then pull your phone off, use it, and then pop it back on without a whole bunch of rebalancing and stuff, which is great. Yeah. That's why my phone's naked, because that grip, a lot of cases just don't fit well with that.
My mouse case does, by the way,
with the grip. So, and I just also, for heat purposes, if I'm doing a live show, it is Florida. It's Florida, people, and it gets hot. And eventually the phone says, I can't take it anymore. That's it. We're done. And so this allows, not having a case on it actually helps. Also, I use a Peak Design travel tripod, and this is the 5-section carbon fiber camera tripod. It is not inexpensive,
but it's worth it. It's good.
There's also a newer, it's an NEEWER carbon fiber that's like similar size. I think it's like 66 inches it extends to, which is way more than you need. It's also carbon fiber and a lot cheaper. The reason the carbon fiber is really nice is because I can have my phone, my headphones, and the carbon fiber tripod in a bag, and go through Disney security holding the bag out in front of me like you do with like an umbrella, and I clear it, no problem, no needing to rifle through the bag or anything like that. It's just not a threat because it's not metal. So that is a great time saver, honestly. And then I also, the other thing that's important to have, sometimes I forget it, but the nice thing about the Peak Design travel tripod is it has a iPhone mount like contraption built into it in case you forget something like this. But I try not to forget my Vastar Universal Smartphone Tripod Adapter, which is essentially this thing that you can turn and it expands and you can put your phone in and you tighten it up like a vise. And then you can turn it different orientations, and it fits on top of a standard tripod thread. Every once in a while, I'll forget it, and then I'm glad I have the other built-in thing.
So
that's it.
That's not a lot. That's not like you could do all this stuff with a good iPhone and a tripod, and then if you want to have super sound like Jason, he mentioned some of those, and we'll pop those all down in the show notes. Before we move on to our last section, gosh, we're gonna have to come back and do another show because. This is great stuff. I love all this. Yeah. But Kira has a great question, and I want to pop it up really quick. She goes from over on YouTube, says, I'd love to hear about your writing process. Your intros to soundscapes are always brilliant. They capture what so many of us feel throughout the parks. So what's your writing process for your
That has evolved over time. And so, I have a team that I work with, and people will remember Kristen from the 12 Days of Christmas show, and she has traditionally done the bulk of the first draft of those, like the introduction scripts. That has changed over time. To I would say probably 75% of the time she's still doing her first draft of it, and then I massacre it. we just and it's become this just inside. I would say joke. She might not say joke, but like this because I have I have my voice, and it's important that when I'm saying these things that it actually be things that I would say, right? And that's an important part of copywriting, right? Is that whether you're using an assistant or whether you're using an agency or whether you're using AI. You can never just take that and run with it. I don't care how good the copywriter is, right? Even Peggy Noonan has had her stuff marked up by Ronald Reagan, right? It's just how that works. So if you have, I'm sorry, my son is like texting me. Okay, stop. If you have this stuff that you're going to be saying as part of this thing that you love, that's part of an extension of you have to be saying it authentically. So the writing process is collaborative until it's not. And then I'll spend a lot of time just working it over. It's shortened over time too, because I realized people aren't coming to hear me talk. They're actually coming to listen to the spaces, right? And so I just need to hurry up and get out. I said it, tee it up, Jason, tee it up and get it out of the way. That's your job, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of how that's evolved now. But I appreciate the comments. It's fun. And the best part of it is the music selection. That's one of my favorite parts of the process is like selecting the music that we're going to use for the intros and for the outros, which is always different. It's always different. Yeah.
That's very, very cool. So there he goes. She's living the dream, writing things and having Jason rework it. Yes, that's the truth.
I mean, that's That's the creative process, right?
Yeah,
And
it
that's
is.
what you do. That is what you
Yeah,
do.
and you have to keep your voice. But before we move on to the last segment, and we're gonna have to burn through it, and I probably have to have you on again to finish it up because I think it's really good. But I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ecamm. They make this show possible. They are amazing live show. I know Lou was on here earlier. He uses it. So does Jason. Socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. That's socialmedianewslive.com. Ecamm, if you haven't checked them out, go there and ask me any questions you may have because I'd be more than happy to help answer them. But this final section is just right. Everybody's talking about it. You and I use it. I was just actually on with my friend Peg Fitzpatrick earlier, and we were discussing some new tools that happened. And I was even telling Jason now that ChatGPT now lets you browse websites if you have the paid version.
My weekend is shot.
That's right. So we're going to talk about really quickly AI in the creative process. So how do you think that maybe you're already using it, but how do you think artificial intelligence is fitting into the creative process for video production?
So there's two parts of that. I think I am using it all the time, much to the chagrin of my team. Right. But it's fantastic for brainstorming. Amazing for brainstorming. And by brainstorming, I mean like doing a brain dump, as I like to call it. It's just word vomit. You're just like, here's my idea, and I'm just going to explain it. Sometimes I'll do it as a voice to text as I'm walking or something, and it just makes no sense, right? It's just kind of the stream of consciousness. But then you take that and you with the right context applied, and for those who want kind of a good cheat on some of these things, go and listen to the Social Media News Live show from a couple weeks ago. With Dustin, yeah. who had great ideas, some of which I was using, some of which I wasn't, but I am now. And you provide the context, and then start to brainstorm with the AI about like, hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve. This is the thread I'm trying to connect to this. This is the emotion, what emotional element I want to have conveyed here. This is the subject matter. Help me kind of put this together, make some sense of this, and it will help you. And it won't be perfect, but it'll help you. Right? That's one way. Getting creative advice. There's a chat that I have, a conversation, is what they like to call it in ChatGPT, that I have an ongoing conversation with a person called Steven. I will call Steven, who may or may not bear some resemblance to Steven Spielberg, because I asked it to help me storyboard a particular video for like in a way that, how would Steven Spielberg do this? Be Steven Spielberg. That's a lot of fun. But you also can now switch, be this person, and you'll hear, and it'll give you a different ideas. It's a wonderful way to get some ideas that you just wouldn't have thought of, right? And to organize the brain dumps and so forth. And then generating iterative, like these iterations of copy is another, like, here's what I have. Now give me like 5 more versions of this. And it will. And, then you're kind of begging and borrowing, stealing pieces from the different parts and making it your own is an important part of the process. As it relates to, that's kind of the writing piece. As it relates to visual thumbnail creation, like using tools like Adobe Firefly now that are available, right. That's incredible. You want to create some wicked, wild, crazy backgrounds for your thumbnails? Doing that in Firefly takes 3 seconds. Yeah. 3 seconds. Canva was great. I love Canva. I'll still love Canva. But like creating the backgrounds like out of like anew, it's amazing. Stabilization and reframing in Premiere Pro and in other editing tools. That's AI as well. Mm-hmm. Scene detection is AI. Audio remixing, which is something I just started doing. I haven't actually allowed it to do it fully yet because I still don't think it's as good as me. Right. But the idea of being able to say, oh, look, I got this much video and I need this much audio, but this audio clip that I have isn't the same length, but I really want it to finish at the same time. So using a Premiere Pro and Adobe Audition, there's this remixing feature that uses AI to either extend or shorten without anybody really noticing. It's amazing. It's incredible.
I haven't played. So one of the things you mentioned, I don't know if you played with Midjourney any. But
not yet, because isn't that like Discord?
Yeah, so get over.
I don't understand.
Come
Discord.
On, old man, get on.
I don't get it.
I need to show it to you because it's amazing. Because what you can do with ChatGPT is you can use it to write your prompts for Midjourney, because like I don't know all the Zeiss lenses and stuff, but I can have it create it with those lenses by using this prompt that I have, and it makes amazing images. So anyway, another
that's
nerding
really
thing. Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah.
All right, so oh, gosh, we can talk about.
I know
this forever. There's so much time. So last question is, where can people find the amazing Jason Canapp, all his stuff everywhere? I mean, they got to check out your videos. They need to subscribe to your podcast. They need to go and be part of your community. Tell them all the things where they can find you, the amazing you, my friend.
Sure. You can go to hearewithmagic.com, but the best place to go, honestly, which I know if Lou's still watching, which he probably isn't because he has better things to do than to watch me talk, is to go to youtube.com/hearewiththemagic. Because that's where all the meat and potatoes is. If you go to, there's also the Soundscapes is the podcast. You can search for that, Soundscapes by Here with the Magic. Search for it on Apple Music or Spotify. But there's also, people may not know this, but YouTube has launched its own podcasting platform as well. And so we do put Soundscapes up there. The Soundscapes episodes are up there as well. And so you can find it there if you so choose. For the Choose Your Own Adventure, it's herewiththemagic.com/adventure. That's simple. It'll take you right to the head of it, and you can go from there. And then, of course, I'm on the Facebooks and the Instas and Instagrams and stuff. It's all at Here with the Magic. I'm probably easier to find than you'd want.
And you also have the cafe with you for your members, your membership.
And there's a cafe. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, for wonderful, wonderful members who support most of what I do.
Yeah, so Mark says this. He goes, I would like to hear an extended version of this AI discussion. So much there. So, Jason, I'm going to put you on the spot and say, would you like to come on again in sometime in June, and we'll talk about AI in the creative process?
Imagine what we'll be doing in June with AI.
I don't know.
Every week it's something new. Every week it's something new. I agree, because we didn't even get into the I mean, I use it extensively in the other business stuff that I do. So, there's so many things. And maybe we could have Dustin back on. We could talk about Agile. And we could talk about,
There's so many. And I think, like I was talking about Midjourney, maybe we could put together like a downloadable of like our favorite prompts or something. That would be cool to give to people. That would be fun.
Yeah, and how to see the conversation, how to because the whole.
I liked your Steven Spielberg idea. That's really cool.
Oh, thanks.
That's really cool. So, alrighty, folks. Thank you guys so much for showing up today. Thank you for Mary and for Mark and Lisa, all of you folks who jumped in. I would appreciate if you guys would subscribe to our channel as well. I know Jason brought a lot of his folks on. We have fun on this show too. Maybe not as fun as Jason does, but he is amazing. Thank you for sharing that on your channels. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for Ecamm for helping sponsor this show. Find out more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Jeff.
Attention all campers, this is your camp director Leslie Samuel here, and I'm here to tell you about the most epic event of the year, Creator Camp. Are you ready for Creator Camp? Because we are ready for you. We've been hanging with the counselors, prepping the s'mores, and gearing up for an amazing camp. So, what can you expect at Creator Camp? Well, let me tell you, an epic kickoff party where you'll get to meet everyone from your workshop leaders to your camp counselors. And yes, the whole Ecamm crew will be there too. Hands-on workshop from top experts in subjects you care about. Meet your favorite Ecamm fam members. Amazing food and drinks all included with your ticket. Fun activities and excursions like a ghost walk in Salem, Massachusetts, wine tasting, and brewery tours. And of course, a talent night to showcase your skills. This is the event you've been waiting for. The Ecamm fam is taking over Amesbury, Massachusetts, and we don't want you to miss your chance to be a part of it all in real life. IRL, yo! So gather your camping gear, like your laptop and camera maybe, and get ready for a wild adventure at Creator Camp. I can't wait to see you there.